Hello, everybody. Um, Part of my reason to record this lecture is because I need to play it over YouTube in class because the other computer here is not running Onshape right. So let me show everybody what to do. I'm going to talk through it, and if you need me to go slower, you can always pause it on your own or half speed, make me slow down. All right. So in your list of documents here in Onshape, you should have one called Selfie Stick Parts, shared by me to y'all. It is for you guys. There it is. It looks like that in the thumbnail. For you guys, it's not. You can't edit it. That's the thing. You've got to go up here where it says Document Menu. It's right next to Onshape. It's got 3 lines. It's the Document Menu, and you won't have all these options because your copy is not editable. It's view only. Copy Workspace. Maybe put your name at the end of it. I don't know, but I have multiple ones called Haynes now because I've done this a couple times. You'll have now this copy right here. Part Studio will have about 8 or 9 parts in it. And Assembly 1 I've already made. If you look down at the bottom, that's the tabs I'm clicking on way at the bottom of the screen. Right here, I've already put these 2 pieces together. I haven't attached them to anything, so if I drag them around, they kind of move around. But you'll see like the orange-ish piece goes in and out. And it doesn't move away independently completely from the gray one. So what an assembly is it's just like a way of saying, right now, for example, this part, if I count this as one item, I can move it all over the place, right? I could spin it around if I really wanted to. You click on it, you can spin it around like this. But I don't want to do that. Let's undo all this stuff. I don't want to have it moved around. But I don't want all of my parts that go together as one item, a selfie stick, to be sort of loosey-goosey floating around. And so what I'm going to do, and I recommend doing this because I've already put this one together for you. You don't have to do this again. It's a slider mate. It's already put together. It slides. Go on up and hit Insert. And you can insert all of the other pieces. If you notice when I scroll to the bottom, I can't quite see this thumb screw in the thumbnail image down here. If you're worried you're not going to get all the items, what you could also do, instead of clicking them one by one like this, undo, undo, undo. I don't want to put them in there right there. You could just click Part Studio 1. That'll put everything in. And when you hit your check mark, then what you can do is you can say, okay, look, this part I already have over here, and this part I already have. So I'm just going to click on that and hit Delete, backspace on your computer. Backspace. Backspace. So now I should have all the parts. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 if you count this as 2 parts, 8 if you count this as 1 part. All right, my recommendation, first things first, if you put these things in here, they can move in any direction. They have 6 degrees of freedom right now. I could slide them back and forth in like the X direction, the Y direction, and the Z direction, and I can spin them around the X, the Y, well, if I say this was the X, I can spin around the X-axis, the Y-axis, the Z-axis. You know, there's 3 ways to spin them. I'm trying to gesture, and it's not going to work for you because I'm just gesturing wildly. All right, so I don't want to be able to move them around. I want them all to be together in some form or fashion. And if you remember, I moved this guy around, and when I slide it in and out, the whole thing moves. So the first thing I want to do is I want to move all degrees of freedom from something. I want to stick one of these parts down in space so that it won't move everywhere all the time. And to do that, I'm going to use what are called mate connectors, and those are either, there's some points that are automatically generated by Onshape based on your geometry. There's endpoints and midpoints of lines. There are center points on circles, things like that, that'll automatically use for mate connectors, or you can make your own. I recommend just using what they got because usually the way you want your geometry to be, there will be places that you can attach them that make sense. So I'm going to use a fastened mate. A mate is just another word for putting 2 things together in a certain fashion. Fasten removes all degrees of freedom. And if it were a selfie stick, the thing that I want to hold on to is the handle, the outside of the handle. So I'm going to grab the fastened mate. And you notice it wants you to pick 2 mate connectors so you can connect 2 items together, 2 points together, and they'll be in the same location. You move around. If I put my mouse over this guy, like, you'll notice that there are 1, 2, 3. There's 3 options it automatically picks. It picks the center of your cylinder at one end, the other end, and in the very center. I want to pick the one that's closest to me, the open end over here. If I click on that, I got one, stick bottom. I'm going to stick it to the origin. The origin's the only piece of geometry they give you from the start. So stick that to the origin. And to me, it doesn't matter if it's going straight up like that. It doesn't matter to me. That makes more sense for me visually looking at it like, oh, I'm going to be holding it like that. There are ways to adjust which axis it goes in which direction, but I'm not going to fuss with that right now. I'm going to hit the green check mark because it's fine the way it is. All right. The next thing I'm going to do, I want to make a different kind of a connection. If I want to have something that revolves, if I want two pieces to have like an axis that they share where they can revolve around each other, like if I want to animate something rotating around, I'd use the revolute mate. If I have two pieces I want to slide, like these two pieces of the phone holder, I want them to slide. That's just translating along one direction, back and forth. This planar mate, you probably won't need that very often, but what that does is it allows pieces to slide in a plane. So forwards, backwards, left, and right together, relative to each other, I should say. Cylindrical is kind of cool. Cylindrical means that I can have things that both slide in the one direction, and they also rotate around that axis that they're sliding along. A pin slot means that I can have it translate across a slot and rotate, but not along the same path of translation. All right. The ball joint or ball mate, it's kind of like your shoulder socket, any of your ball and socket joints. I can rotate it this way, this way, this way. I can rotate in all three directions at that point. And then there's a parallel mate, and there's tangent mate, and there's a bunch of other ones. You can mess around with this. You can repeat things. The farther to the right you go on your screen, this is my right, the farther to the right you go on your screen, the less likely you are to use those on a regular basis, like it's at the level we're at, all right? I want this inside part of the selfie stick to telescope in and out of the main part, so I'm going to use a slider mate. And again, I need to pick two mate connectors. You can always, if you didn't like the slider, you can always change it to cylindrical later, and any of these later. You can change it later if you need to. Let's grab the end point of this guy, and the length of the main part is the same as the length of this guy, so I don't want this part with the threading on it. I don't want the screw part to be inside. I just want that to stick out at the top there. So I'm going to try to grab, if you can see right where my mouse is, the thing that's highlighted, that's like the center point on that circular surface at the back of the screw, but at the close end of that stick. So I'm going to click there, and that's highlighted because I'm putting my mouse on that circumference of that circle. And if I want that to be stuck to this, I will put my mouse on the circumference of this circle, and it'll highlight the center of the circle, which happens to be on the origin. That's the way I stuck that. If seeing the origin bothers you, you can hide that. It doesn't matter. But you see it's still stuck to the center of the circle. And it's smart enough, the way that I had built them, it's smart enough to say, okay, they're going to be together. If for some reason yours is upside down at this point and the screwed part is on the inside and the regular part's going straight up, you can always change a direction by clicking on flip the axis. So if yours looks like that, click that and it'll put it back in. You can also use rotate, reorient your secondary axis, and what that'll do is it'll spin it around like that, around that axis. The current one is going vertically. You won't notice much. You'll see the threads might change slightly if I click on that. And you'll see the green and the red going around in circles. But really, there's not much to it. If you want to preview it and hit play, you see how it slides up and down. If you want to set a limit, this thing is 12 inches long. So let's say I want to go from a 0 to 12 inches. Let's see what that looks like. All right, that's going in and out. 0 inches to 12 inches. Do that again. Yep, it goes all the way up and down. If yours goes like down through the bottom of it, just go from -12 to 0. All right, I like the way it looks. That way I can't pull this part all the way out. If I go to mess with it like this, I can't pull it all the way out and like have it completely loose. Is that? Yeah, that's about as far as it goes. I can't pull it any higher. And I can't push it through the back side of it. That's as far down as it'll go. And that's how I made this part not slide all the way out of the phone holder. All right. So this is the basics of how to do this sort of thing. You've got to be careful which connectors you grab. If I wanted to put this part, this is the next part that goes on, it's going to go like kind of right there. If you drag them around like this though, and you like sit them on top of each other, it's going to be really hard to know exactly which point you're grabbing when you go to connect them. So I recommend, if you know where it's supposed to go, or if you need to sort of look at it and see what it looks like and eyeball it, and okay, it's going to go about right there. If you need to do that, you can. Notice that it's not exactly there, it just looks like it is. It fooled y'all, right? Haha. Oh, it's not quite there. There we go. See, it's going to be fiddly to try to put it there yourself. So just don't even worry about it. Just set it nearby. And if this were on here, you know what? I'm going to go back and change this slider to a cylindrical, because that's the part that's going to be rotating. If I make this guy rotate around this thread, it's not going to be nice. There's no max or min on the rotation, because if I had it in there, it would just rotate no matter what. So I made it cylindrical, so now this will rotate. But I want to stick this, I want to fasten this on here. That's what this threading will do. It'll fasten these two pieces together in real life, right? So fasten. And I want to be careful to select the very center of this circular face down here. So right there, if I select the edge of the circle, the circumference of it, I can get that center point. And if I then rotate, I can see the underside of this thing. And if I select the, I want the center point, and it's kind of hard to tell. Look at all these points. I'm thinking if I put my mouse on the circumference here, I'll get the center of it. No, I won't. There's a center. And now they're together. You can probably hear the music next door. It's awesome. It's very, very audible through the walls. And that's my cue to go, guys. I've got to go get on duty. But now you notice, like, this is fastened to the stick here. I can pull it out, and I can also rotate it around because the stick parts rotate inside each other. All right? There is a diagram. There should be a finished. Here's what it looks like finished. This is an infusion, and whoever did this and set this up as an example for the teachers, they did not make it so that this has got any limits, and it just slides back and forth. Like, if it does this, it's broken. If it does that, it's coming apart. And they also fasten down one of these middle points for some reason. But you can see how theirs works. It bends and it slides back and forth. And oh, look, this one isn't stuck anywhere either. It comes all the way there. Yeah, so if you use limits, yours actually looks and moves more like a real item. If you don't use limits, you're going to have issues that... Woohoo! Okay, I'm going to quit messing around with this. I'm going to go on duty. I will see you all later. I'm going to upload this to YouTube. And there should be a diagram of what the finished product should look like. And hope you all are doing well. Take care. Talk to you soon.